There is a whisper more ancient than time itself, a primordial sound that echoes through every beat of the cosmos and vibrates in the very core of your being right now. This sound is captured in two simple but infinitely powerful words: I am. Since the dawn of existence, humanity has mistaken these words for a mere mirror, a description of who they are at any given moment. We say, I am an anxious person, I am unlucky, or I am not ready, and we believe these to be unshakable truths. But what if I told you that this is not a reflection, but a prophecy? That every time you utter these sacred words, you are not describing your reality, you are decreeing it. Imagine your reality as a fluid cosmic river. Every I am statement you make is a command sent to that river, ordering it to bend, to shift, and to reshape the entire landscape of your life to match your declaration. This is not a process that asks for your permission or requires your belief. It is a universal law operating relentlessly in every silent moment, in every private thought. The whisper of doubt, I am a failure, is a dark seed planted in the fertile soil of your energy field, and it will surely blossom into a barren reality. The affirmation of power, I am resilient, is a seed of light, and it will bloom into a vibrant garden of possibilities. We have been taught to strive, to struggle, to do, so that one day we might become. This is the path of exhaustion. True transformation does not begin with effort. It begins with identity. You do not have to work to become, you only have to be. The becoming must precede the doing. Be it before you do it. Feel the fullness of it in every cell of your body before you ever see it with your physical eyes. The greatest creative power does not reside in a distant deity in the clouds, nor is it hidden in complex rituals. It is right here in your breath, on the tip of your tongue. You are the creator. You hold the code of creation, and that code is the language you use to name yourself. Every time you say, I am, you are performing a profoundly spiritual act. You are calling yourself by the same name as God, as the infinite creator who once declared, I am that I am. Therefore, wield this power with consciousness, with sacred intention, and with absolute reverence. This book is not a map. It is a key. The key to manifestation is not waiting, it is declaring. Never wait for the outside world to tell you who you are. Look into the sacred stillness within and declare it for yourself first. Declare it with the conviction of a king issuing a decree to his kingdom, because the universe isn't just listening, it is awaiting your command. Chapter 1. The Creative Command, I am. There comes a moment in nearly everyone's life when they stand before a mirror, look deep into their own eyes, and wonder who is truly looking back. Not the name they were given, not the social title they wear, not the sum of their joyful and sorrowful memories. Deep beneath all those layers, what is their essence? Many people live for years without an answer. Their lives are like rudderless ships drifting aimlessly on a stormy ocean of circumstance. They believe themselves to be victims, products of what has happened to them. Each morning, the weight of the past settles upon their shoulders, and they define themselves by its failures. I am someone who lost everything. I am unlucky. I am not good enough. And the universe, in its perfect impartiality, relentlessly sends them evidence to validate that belief. Their life becomes a self-fulfilling prophecy, an endless loop of what they believe themselves to be. It is only when a person hits the rock bottom of despair, in a moment of profound stillness, that a simple yet world-shattering truth is revealed. I am not what happened to me. I am the awareness that exists behind it all. This is the moment one realizes their deepest identity is not a description but a command. In a valley hidden behind towering mountains lived a potter named Elias. He was no ordinary craftsman. His hands seemed to converse with the clay. The pots and bowls he made possessed a vibrant living beauty. Yet for all his talent, Elias lived in poverty. His hut was bare and his debts were piling up. Deep down, Elias carried a persistent, gnawing belief, I am a poor man. Every time he received a coin, he thought of the bills he had to pay. Every time he sold a pot, he feared it would be his last customer. He longed for wealth, he prayed for prosperity, but the identity he continuously broadcast to the universe was, I am lack, I am anxiety. One day, a royal messenger arrived at his workshop. The wife of a powerful duke was hosting a grand feast and required the most exquisite ceramic dinner set in the kingdom. This was the opportunity of a lifetime. If he succeeded, Elias would not only clear his debts, but also earn legendary renown. But as he began his work, a strange tension seized him. The silent declaration, I am a failure plagued by bad luck, began to operate. His once skillful hands grew clumsy. The clay itself seemed to rebel against him. The first pot cracked on the wheel, the second dish shattered in the kiln. His mind flooded with evidence that he was going to fail. See, a voice in his head jeered, you can't do it. You were born to be poor. Panic tightened its grip on his heart. In his despair, with only a few days until the deadline, Elias gave up. He slumped onto the cold earthen floor, staring at the lifeless lump of clay. He no longer prayed for anything. He no longer wished for anything. In that silence, a memory surfaced, the words of his childhood pottery teacher, Elias. His master had said, you do not create the pot. You must become the pot. Feel the perfect emptiness within it. Feel the sturdiness of its form. Feel the beauty it is destined to be. You must be it before you make it. A profound insight illuminated Elias. He had been doing it all wrong. He had been begging for prosperity while embodying lack. He had been hoping for success while his identity was that of a failure. He closed his eyes. He took a deep breath. And he began to issue a new command to himself, not with words, but with his entire being. He no longer thought, I am Elias, the poor potter. Instead, a new feeling arose. I am creation, and he felt in his very muscles. I am stability, and he felt in his bones. I am prosperity, and he felt in his breath. He became the embodiment of the perfect dinner set before it even existed. When he opened his eyes and placed his hands on the clay, again everything had changed. His hands moved with an unprecedented certainty and grace. There was no resistance, no fear. He worked not in a rush, but in a flow state of peace and power. Each pot and dish emerged flawless, more beautiful than anything he had ever made. When the messenger returned, he was stunned by the beauty of the set. It wasn't just pottery, it was art. Elias was not only paid a magnificent price, but his fame spread throughout the kingdom. His life was transformed not because of an external opportunity, but because he had changed the creative command from within. The story of Elias is the story of each of us. The universe does not respond to what you want. It mirrors and magnifies who you believe you are. Wanting stems from a state of lack. When you say, I want to be healthy, you are implicitly affirming, I am currently not healthy. When you plead, I want to be loved, you are broadcasting the energy of someone who is lacking love. True power lies not in asking, but in declaring. The declaration of I am is the most primal and potent command sent directly into the creative energy field of the universe. Your mind, like a loyal servant, will immediately go to work, finding every piece of evidence in your reality to confirm that command. If you unconsciously declare, I am always tired, your mind will filter for every sensation of fatigue, every reason to procrastinate, and present them to you as objective truth. If you constantly affirm, I can't trust anyone, your brain will focus only on the suspicious behaviors of others, ignoring all signs of kindness, and validate that the world is full of deceit. To be unconscious of the power of I am is to imprison yourself in a jail of your own making. Consider a woman named Lyra. All her life she lived in the shadow of her brilliant older sister, People often called her Elara's little sister. Gradually, she accepted this identity. I am the lesser one, she thought. I am just the shadow. And so, in every situation, she acted like a shadow. She spoke softly, avoided eye contact, and always yielded to others. She yearned for recognition, but her identity of I am the shadow made her invisible. Then one day, while attending a village festival, she decided to try something different. Instead of wishing to be noticed, she straightened her back, took a deep breath, and declared silently within, I am presence. She didn't try to do anything to stand out. She simply became presence itself. A subtle shift occurred. Her posture became grounded. Her gaze became steady. Her energy was no longer one of contraction, but of peaceful expansion. And a miracle happened. For the first time, people truly saw her. A stranger struck up a conversation about her ideas, not to ask about her sister. She hadn't changed her circumstances, she had changed who she was, and the circumstances had to change in response. You are not your circumstances, your past, or the fleeting thoughts in your head. You are the awareness behind them all, the pure I am. Realizing this is the first step to reclaiming the scepter of your life. You are the ruler, not the victim. The tool for creating your future is to consciously choose and declare a new I am identity, even when your external reality shows no sign of it yet. You must first be it in your inner world so that it can be manifested in the outer world. Practical exercise. The morning declaration. This is not mere theory. This is a law you can practice. Starting tomorrow, set aside the first 5 minutes after you wake up. Find a quiet space. Sit with a straight back and close your eyes. Breathe deeply. Feel the air enter and leave your body. Let go of any thoughts about the day's to-do list. Choose your identity. Instead of thinking about what you want, ask, who do I choose to be today? Declare your command. Begin the sentence with I am, and fill in the state of being you wish to embody. For example, I am peace. I am a source of infinite creative energy. I am love. I am unshakable confidence. I am the prosperity that flows through every aspect of my life. Feel it. Embody it. This is the most crucial step. Don't just recite the words. Feel the peace spreading through your body. Feel the confidence making you sit taller. Feel the warmth of love in your heart. Live in that state for a few minutes. You are issuing a command for your day. You are programming your mind on what evidence to look for. You are telling the universe who you truly are, and it will respond accordingly. Begin the journey of becoming the creator instead of merely a spectator in your own life. Chapter 2. Sowing Your Destiny. Imagine your mind is a garden. It is a fertile and forgiving garden utterly without judgment. It doesn't care if you plant a seed of nightshade or the seed of a fragrant rose. Its sole purpose is to nourish whatever it is given and grow it into a living plant. The soil doesn't decide what grows, the gardener does. In life, most of humanity fails to realize they are the gardener. They allow the seeds of fear, of others' judgments, and of past failures to be blown freely into the garden of their mind. Then they are surprised when their garden is overrun with the weeds of anxiety, the thorns of self-doubt, and the fruitless trees of disappointment. They don't understand that destiny is not something that is given or imposed, but a landscape that is sowed and tended to every single day with every single thought. In a bustling port city lived a textile merchant named Kael. He was an honest, hard-working man, but his business never truly took off. It was always just enough to get by. Kael carried a core belief, a legacy from his father, who had also been a struggling merchant. His father would often sigh and say, "Life is a struggle." That sentence had taken deep root in Kael's subconscious. Though unsaid, the declaration he broadcast every day was, "I am someone who has to struggle to survive." His subconscious mind, like a loyal and literal enforcer, accepted this command. It adjusted Kayel's perception. When a large deal seemed too easy, his subconscious would sow seeds of doubt. When he had a profitable month, it would whisper of impending risks. It ensured his life matched the script of a struggle, because that was the command it had been given. The declaration, "I am a struggler," had become an invisible contract Kayel had signed with himself, binding him to an unchanging reality. One day, a golden opportunity appeared. A caravan of merchants from the Far East docked at the port, carrying a unique iridescent silk. Acquiring this silk could make Kayel a wealthy man, but the cost was also a colossal risk that could bankrupt him. Immediately, the old contract went into effect. "It's too risky," a voice echoed in his head. "Something will surely go wrong. Your destiny is to struggle, not to succeed spectacularly." Fear paralyzed him. He tried to analyze, to be braver, changing his behavior, but the root of the problem, the belief, "I am a struggler," remained, and it was stronger than any surface-level effort. Tormented, Kayel wandered to the city's public garden and saw an old gardener diligently pulling weeds. Kayel approached him and asked, "Why do you go to such trouble? The weeds will only grow back." The gardener looked up, smiled, and replied, "The soil doesn't judge, sir. You plant flowers, it gives you flowers. You allow weeds, it gives you weeds. My job is not to wish for a beautiful garden, but to pull what I don't want and plant what I do every single day." A current ran down Kayel's spine. He understood. His mind was that garden, and the belief that life is a struggle was the invasive weed he had allowed to grow wild for years. Kayel returned to his shop. He no longer fought the fear. Instead, he did something different. He took out a piece of parchment and wrote a new contract. He wrote, "I am a wise and prosperous merchant. I am one who sees and seizes opportunities." He read the sentence over and over. At first it felt like a lie, but he persisted, repeating it with the feeling of someone who truly believed it. This wasn't lying. This was deliberately redesigning his inner operating system. Gradually, a shift occurred. The fear didn't vanish, but a new sense of confidence rose up, stronger than the fear. With the new identity of a wise merchant, he viewed the risk completely differently. He saw it not as a threat, but as a calculated opportunity. He went to the docks, negotiated skillfully, and bought the entire stock of silk. His action was no longer a battle, but a natural consequence of the new person he had chosen to be. And as if it were inevitable, the silk sold out to the city's nobility, bringing him a level of prosperity he had never dared to dream of. He had changed his destiny by changing the seeds he planted in his mind. Kayel's story reveals a profound truth. Sustainable change comes from changing your identity, not your behavior. Trying to break a bad habit while still holding the belief, "I am an undisciplined person," is like trimming the leaves of a sick tree without treating the roots. It's exhausting and doomed to fail. But when you change the root, the "I am" declaration, your behaviors and habits will naturally and automatically realign to match. Consider the case of Lena, a young scribe in the royal library. She was intelligent and well-read, but she believed, "I am clumsy." This belief stemmed from dropping an important scroll as a child. Ever since her clumsy contract had been enforced, she would spill ink, trip over her own feet, and her hands would tremble whenever she presented her work. She tried to be more careful, but the harder she tried, the more self-conscious she became of her clumsiness, which only made things worse. The head librarian, a wise man, didn't tell her to be more careful. Instead, he gave her a task. Every time she picked up a scroll, she was to pause, take a breath, and declare silently in her mind, "I am grace, I am precision." The first few days were difficult. With every declaration, her mind would present a cascade of evidence of her past clumsiness. But she persisted. She repeated the declaration dozens of times a day. This deliberate repetition is the very process of reprogramming the subconscious. Slowly, the new seeds began to sprout. Her subconscious began to recalibrate her nervous system, her posture, and her micro-movements to align with the command, "I am grace." Eventually, she handled the scrolls with a natural sturdiness and elegance. She didn't just stop being clumsy, she truly became a graceful person. Your greatest power lies in becoming aware of what you are telling yourself. Become the auditor of your inner dialogue. Question your old default declarations. Are they building the life you desire, or are they just reinforcing the past you wish to escape? Practical exercise: the inner contract audit. Take the time to conduct an audit of the invisible contracts that are running your life. Preparation: take a piece of parchment or paper and draw a line down the middle, dividing it into 2 columns. Column 1, the old contract. For one day, listen to yourself. Every time you catch yourself thinking a negative limiting thought about yourself, in the form of "I am" or "I always," write it in this column. Be brutally honest. Examples: I am so forgetful. I'm not good at public speaking. I always have bad luck. I'm too old, too young to start. Column 2, the new contract. Now for every old contract in the left column, write a new, powerful, and positive contract in the right column. This is the "I am" declaration you are choosing to become. Examples: I have a sharp and clear memory. I am a confident and inspiring communicator. I am lucky and attract wonderful things. I am at the perfect age to create my future. Nullify the old contract. When you are finished, look at the left column one last time. Acknowledge that these are just old programs, not who you truly are. Then tear the paper in half along the line. Take the old contract section and destroy it with intention. Burn it safely, or rip it into tiny pieces and throw it away. This is a powerful symbolic act to nullify the old agreements. Activate the new contract. Keep the new contract section. Place it somewhere you can see it daily. Every morning and every evening, read these declarations aloud. More importantly, feel them. Let them soak into every cell of your being. You are in the process of pulling the weeds and planting roses. Be patient and be consistent, for you are doing the most sacred work there is, redesigning your own destiny. Chapter 3, the blacksmith of the mind. Imagine your mind as the forge of a master craftsman. Your thoughts are the raw metal. Repetition is the rhythmic strike of the hammer, heating and softening the metal. And emotion, be it trust, gratitude, joy, or fear, is the quenching water, hardening the metal and setting it into its permanent shape. The blacksmith doesn't judge the metal, he simply works with it. Likewise, your brain is not a critic, it is a loyal programmer. It cannot distinguish whether an affirmation you speak is true, whether you're saying it because it's a lie, or whether you're saying it out of habit. It simply registers every "I am" command you repeat as a line of code and immediately begins to execute it by adjusting your physiology, emotions, and perceptions to match. You are not just thinking, you are coding your own biological reality. Change isn't magic, it is a process of deliberate forging. In the northern highlands lived an archer named Finn. He had once been the pride of his region, a prodigy with a keen eye and a steady arm. But everything changed during a winter tournament. Before the eyes of his entire tribe, his decisive arrow missed the target by a hair's breadth. From that day forward, a new line of code was written into his mind: I am someone who fails at the decisive moment. Finn's brain, the loyal programmer, received the order. Now every time he drew his bow, that program would run. It commanded his adrenal glands to release a microdose of stress hormones. His heart would beat a little faster. His breath would become shallow. A subtle, almost imperceptible tremor would appear in his arm. He tried to fight it. "Don't shake," he commanded himself. But fighting the old only fueled it, like trying to douse a fire with oil. The harder he tried, the more he failed, and the neural pathway for failure in his brain grew deeper and more defined. One day, a retired old warrior, famous for his calmness in battle, came to watch Finn practice. He said nothing about technique. He just quietly observed Finn's struggle. Finally, he spoke, "You are not fighting your arm, Finn. You are fighting a memory. Don't try to erase a path. Create a new, wider one." He gave Finn a strange instruction. For 1 week, Finn was not to shoot at a target. Instead, every morning he was to go to a still lake. He would draw his bow, aim at his own reflection, and instead of releasing the arrow, he would take a deep breath and declare with all his focus, "I am stillness. I am perfect focus. My arrow and the target are one." After the declaration, he would slowly lower the bow. He was to repeat this 50 times each morning. The first few days, Finn felt foolish, but he persisted. This was a workout for the brain. The repetition of the action drawing the bow combined with the new declaration, the new code, and the feeling of stillness he tried to evoke was slowly creating a new neural pathway. He wasn't fighting the tremor. He was actively nurturing stillness. Energy was no longer being sent down the old path. It was being redirected to build the new one. After a week, he returned to the archery range. He drew his bow. The old code, "I am a failure," tried to launch, but it had grown weak from disuse. Instead, the new neural pathway of stillness, forged hundreds of times, had become stronger. His arm was as steady as a rock. His breath was deep and even. He released, and the arrow struck the bullseye. He hadn't conquered his brain. He had reprogrammed it. The formula for reprogramming the brain is simple repetition plus emotion. A mere word is like a single loose brick. It is emotion, the feeling of trust, the gratitude for the new person you are becoming, the certainty that it is already true that is the mortar binding the bricks together. Emotion releases chemicals in the brain that help to stamp and solidify new neural connections with great power. To change, you must feel the truth of the new person you want to become even before it has fully manifested on the outside. Transformation is an active process. You cannot sit and hope the weeds in your garden will vanish. You must actively pull them and plant new flowers. Consider Isolde, a young woman whose soul was chilled by loss. Her husband had perished in a blizzard, and ever since her identity had become, "I am a person of sorrow." Her brain filtered everything through this lens. The sunlight seemed pale, the laughter of children distant. She didn't want to live this way, but she didn't know how to escape. She passively hoped the sadness would fade. An old herbalist in the village gave her a small journal and said, "This is an exercise for your soul. I don't want you to write about your sorrow. That only deepens the old path. Instead, every evening write down one single thing you noticed during the day and begin the sentence with, 'As someone who is rediscovering warmth today, I felt.'" The first night, Isolde struggled for a long time. Finally, she wrote, "As someone who is rediscovering warmth today, I felt the heat from my teacup." It was tiny, but it was a start. She continued, "The warmth of my woolen blanket. The warmth in a neighbor's gaze." She wasn't fighting the sadness. She was actively, consciously seeking and nurturing warmth. This daily practice forced her brain to create a new filter, a new neural pathway dedicated to finding warmth. Gradually, that new path became more traveled. She began to notice more and more warmth in her life. The grief of her loss didn't disappear, but it was no longer the entirety of who she was. She had actively reforged her mind to allow the light back in. Practical exercise, the mirror and the reverse command. This is a powerful exercise for actively overwriting old programs in real time. Practice it like a workout for your brain. Identify, during your day, the moment you catch yourself in a self-limiting thought or a negative self-judgment, e.g., "I'm so clumsy. I can't do this. No one understands me." Act immediately. If possible, find a mirror or a reflective surface. If not, simply close your eyes. State the old lie. Look into your own eyes in the mirror or in your mind and speak the lie you just believed. For example, "I just had the thought that I am so clumsy." declare the reverse command. Immediately take a deep breath and declare a new, more powerful truth. Use the structure, but the truth is. But the truth is, I am learning to move with grace and intention. But the truth is, I am a capable problem solver, and I always find a way. But the truth is, I am learning to understand myself more deeply every day, and that is enough. Anchor with emotion. Repeat the new command 2 to 3 times. Most importantly, try to feel it. Feel the grace. Feel the capability. Feel the self-understanding. A slight smile at yourself in the mirror is an incredibly powerful chemical catalyst. Each time you perform this exercise, you are the blacksmith landing a powerful blow, reheating the old metal and reshaping it into a weapon of strength and beauty. Be the blacksmith of your own mind. Chapter 4. The Quantum Mirror. Imagine you are standing before a colossal mirror, one that is perfect and alive. This mirror is not made of silver or glass. It is woven from the very fabric of existence. It doesn't reflect your image. It reflects your essence. It doesn't show you what you want to see. It shows you precisely who you are being in every moment. This is the ultimate law. You do not attract what you want. You attract who you are. The universe is not a delivery service responding to requests. It is a quantum mirror reflecting your state of being and your vibrational frequency with perfect, non-judgmental fidelity. Most people spend their lives shouting at the mirror, telling it what they want. Show me wealth, show me love. But the mirror doesn't respond to words. It can only reflect the image of a person shouting from a place of lack. The key is not to change the reflection. The key is to change the person standing in front of the mirror. In an ancient academy hidden in a valley, there was a young scholar named Alaric. His life's greatest desire was to become a sage, respected by all for his wisdom. He spent his days and nights reading ancient texts, memorizing thousands of verses, and always looking for ways to display his knowledge in every conversation. He told everyone of his desire to become a sage. His state of being was the state of wanting. I want to attain wisdom. I want to be respected. This is the frequency of lack and affirmation to the universe that he did not yet have it. And the quantum mirror reflected this precisely. People saw a clever Alaric, but they also sensed his impatience, his craving for recognition, and a subtle intolerance for anyone who couldn't keep up with his thoughts. They didn't see a sage. They saw a man desperately trying to become one. When a seat on the Council of Elders became vacant, Alaric believed he was the most qualified candidate. He presented his extensive knowledge, but the elders hesitated. They sensed his frequency. Disappointed, Alaric sought out a hermit who lived high on a mountain, a woman who had never read a book but who radiated a profound peace and wisdom. "How can I obtain wisdom like yours?" Alaric asked. The woman smiled, her eyes as clear as a lake. "You cannot obtain wisdom like a cloak," she said gently. "You can only be it. Do not ask what a wise man knows. Ask how a wise man lives." Those words awakened Alaric. He had been wrong. He had been trying to accumulate knowledge from the outside, while wisdom was a state of being from within. He decided to change his strategy. Instead of waiting for the future to arrive, he began to live from the end. Every morning he asked himself, how would the wisest version of myself begin this day? He no longer rushed to his books. He sat in stillness watching the sunrise. How would a sage walk? He began to walk slowly with intention instead of hurrying. How would a sage listen? In conversations, he listened more, seeking to understand rather than waiting for his turn to speak. This was not pretending. This was a powerful act of declaration. He was embodying the new identity. He was bringing it into his physical body through his posture, his speech, his presence, and his daily choices. He was shifting from the frequency of wanting to the frequency of being. When he returned, people felt a change. Alaric was still there, but his energy was different. Impatience had been replaced by patience. The craving to prove himself had given way to a quiet confidence. The universal mirror now reflected a new image. A few weeks later, the elders invited him to join the council. He didn't have to ask. He had become the person worthy of the position, and reality was compelled to rearrange itself to match who he was. Embodiment is the bridge between intention and reality. All methods like meditation, journaling, or affirmations are merely preparatory steps to align your mind. But true transformation happens when you bring that new identity into your physical body. Without embodiment, all intentions are just potentials floating in the ether. Consider the story of Maeve, a gifted weaver, who always felt small and unworthy. She carried a constant wish, "I want to be loved." She tried to please others, saying what they wanted to hear, but her frequency of wanting emanated an energy of neediness and insecurity. Her posture was slightly stooped, her voice was hesitant, her gaze was always lowered. She was embodying unworthiness. Then she learned a secret. It wasn't a new technique, but a shift in her way of being. Every morning before leaving her weaving studio, she would stand before an old bronze mirror. She wasn't trying to look prettier, she was reconnecting with her true essence. She would ask herself, "The version of me who is confident and cherished, how does she stand?" She would slowly straighten her spine, her shoulders opening. What is her breath like? She would take a deep, slow breath, filling her chest. How does her gaze meet the world? She would lift her chin and look directly into her own reflection with gentle acceptance. She wasn't putting on a play to impress anyone. She was peeling back the layers of fear-based programming to allow the authentic, powerful, and worthy person who was always inside to be expressed through her physical body. She walked into the village market not with the posture of someone wanting to be noticed, but with the posture of someone who is a peaceful presence. The change was subtle yet powerful. Her energy was no longer one of contraction, but of expansion. People began to truly see her and the beauty in her textiles. A conversation started, a smile was exchanged. The mirror was reflecting back the exact frequency. She was now broadcasting the frequency of a woman who was quietly confident in her own value. Practical exercise. The daily embodiment compass. This exercise helps you turn an intention into a physical state of being. Practice it each morning to set your frequency for the day. Choose your core state. As soon as you wake, choose one state you wish to embody today. Don't choose too many. It could be peace, confidence, creativity, or love. Ask the compass questions. Stand up, close your eyes, and ask your body, not your mind. The version of me who truly is your chosen state, completely. How would that person? Stand right now. Feel and adjust your posture, your spine, shoulders, head. Breathe right now. Take a few breaths in that manner, feeling it fill your body. What would their facial expression be? Relax your facial muscles and allow a gentle expression that matches the state to emerge. Step into the day. Imagine your first few steps out of bed or out of the room, carrying that energy. Live from the answer. Carry this physical compass with you throughout the day. Whenever you feel yourself slipping back into old habits, gently ask yourself, how would the peaceful, confident one be sitting right now, and readjust. Let your body be the firm anchor for your new identity. Stop shouting at the mirror and start changing the one who stands before it. Become it until you see it. Chapter 5. The Incantations That Create Reality. Imagine a powerful sorcerer standing on a mountaintop speaking ancient words into the wind. His words do not describe the storm, they summon it. His words do not comment on the light, they command the sun to appear. This is not some distant fairy tale. This is a profound truth about your own nature. Every word you speak, especially those that begin with I am, are not descriptions. They are incantations. They are creative commands, magical formulas you are casting over your own life every single day. The only question is, what spells are you casting? Most people are unconscious sorcerers, and the tragedy is that they use their greatest power for self-imprisonment. They don't realize that every complaint is a binding spell, every self-criticism a shrinking curse. They are building their own prison, and then wondering why they are not free. In a small village at the foot of a mountain lived a stonemason named Ronan. His creations were beautiful, but his life was heavy. Ronan's first words every morning before his feet even touched the floor were a sigh. "Oh, I'm so tired." He said it to his wife, to his apprentices, and muttered it to himself all day long. "I am a tired person." This had become his core incantation, and that incantation worked with perfect precision. Every time he cast it, his brain received a command. It adjusted his body to match the state of tiredness, decreasing his energy and increasing the sensation of heaviness. Because he felt tired, the work of chiseling stone became more arduous. And because the work was more arduous, he was even more exhausted at the end of the day, which only validated the spell he had cast that morning. Ronan was trapped in a perfect loop of self-confinement, created and sustained by the magic of his own words. One day, an elderly client came to commission a stone bench for his garden. He came to the workshop each day, quietly watching Ronan work. After a few days, he said, "Young man, your words are like your chisel. Repeated often enough, they will carve a shape into stone. It seems you are spending all day sculpting a statue of a tired man." Ronan was stunned. The old man continued, "The power is not in lying. Don't tell yourself, 'I am not tired,' when your body is screaming. That doesn't work. The power is in precision. Your body may feel tired, but is that who you are?" That was the moment Ronan was freed from his own spell. He had learned to distinguish his true self, his identity, from his temporary experiences, his feelings. The next morning, the feeling of fatigue washed over him as usual. Ronan opened his mouth ready to cast the familiar incantation, but then he stopped. He recognized the old pattern. He took a deep breath to interrupt it, and then he chose to cast a new, more precise and powerful spell in its place. "My body feels heavy this morning, but I am infinite strength and endurance." He wasn't denying his body's sensation. He was simply refusing to let it define him. He was signing a new contract with reality. By declaring, "I am strength," he sent a new command to his brain. Gradually, his body began to respond to the new incantation. The loop of self-confinement was broken not by willpower, but by linguistic wisdom. Every time you declare, "I am," you are signing an agreement with the universe about who you consent to be. If you are not conscious of the terms, you are agreeing by default to a life limited by your own complaints. The art here is not phony positivity, but masterly precision. When a wave of anxiety hits, don't lie and say, "I am not anxious." Stand firm like a lighthouse and declare the greater truth. "I am feeling a wave of anxious energy move through me, but my essence is the unshakable peace of the ocean." You acknowledge the wave, but you identify with the ocean. Consider the story of Alara, a young painter who was often paralyzed by the fear of the blank canvas. Her default incantation was, "I have no ideas. I'm so untalented." This curse froze all creativity, and the blank canvas remained serving as proof that the curse was true. Until one day she decided to try a new kind of magic. When the feeling of emptiness washed over her, she recognized that familiar voice. She put her paintbrush down, a physical act to interrupt the thought stream. Then she looked at the canvas and cast a more precise incantation. "My mind feels quiet and empty right now, but I am a channel for divine creativity to flow through." The shift was miraculous. By not identifying with the emptiness, but instead declaring herself a channel, she removed the pressure from herself. Her job wasn't to create ideas, but to allow ideas to pass through. In that state of relaxation and permission, a new image began to form in her mind. She had broken the curse with a more powerful and more truthful spell. The path to liberation lies in this conscious three-step process. Recognize, interrupt, and replace. Become the guardian of your own incantations. Practical exercise. The art of conscious incantation. This is a 3-day practice to reclaim your power as a conscious sorcerer. Day 1. The Silent Gatekeeper. Your only goal today is to recognize. Carry a small object in your pocket like a pebble as a physical reminder. Every time you catch yourself saying or thinking a limiting incantation, "I'm tired, I'm so stupid, I always have bad luck," silently touch the pebble. Don't judge, don't try to change it. Simply become aware. There is an old spell. Day 2. The pattern break today. Add the second step, interrupt. When you recognize an old incantation touching the pebble, perform a physical act to break the pattern. You can lightly tap your chest, snap your fingers, or simply take one deep, powerful breath in and out. This action creates a neurological disruption in the automatic thought stream, giving you a moment to reclaim control. Day 3. Rewriting the covenant. Today you complete the process. After you recognize and interrupt immediately, replace it with a new, more precise and more powerful incantation. Use the structure "I am feeling, experiencing, but I am," instead of "I'm so stressed out." Say, "I am feeling the energy of stress in my body, but I am unshakable peace." Instead of "I don't know what to do," say, "I am feeling confused by this choice, but I am wisdom, and the right answer is revealing itself to me." Practice this art with reverence. You are not just playing with words. You are renegotiating the terms of your contract with reality. You are relearning the most ancient and powerful language of all, the language of creation. Chapter 6. The Silence of Faith. Imagine you are a farmer. You carefully select the healthiest seed, plant it in fertile soil, and give it cool, clear water. After you have done your part, what do you do next? Do you return every hour digging up the soil to see if the seed has sprouted? Of course not. That action, born of impatience and doubt, would kill the life within before it ever had a chance to rise. The wise farmer, after sowing the seed, steps back. He trusts the darkness. He trusts the miraculous process taking place silently beneath the surface. His silence is not passivity. It is an act of supreme faith. On the journey of creating your reality, after you have powerfully declared, "I am," the most important work is not more doing, but more trusting. This silence is the energetic state that shows you believe the command has been sent and is being processed. Constant doubting, worrying, and checking is the very act of digging up your seed. It is a declaration that cancels the order you just placed. In a coastal shipyard, Leif was bringing a bold dream to life. He was building a ship of a completely new design, one he believed would sail faster and be steadier than any vessel that had ever met the sea. He had declared his identity, "I am a master creator." He had the design, the materials, the skills. The initial phase was full of excitement, but then the work entered a slow, meticulous stage. On the surface, it seemed like nothing groundbreaking was happening, and that is when doubt began to creep into Leif's mind. Will it really work? Did I miscalculate something? He fell into a state of clinging, of needing to see immediate proof. He constantly rechecked measurements, questioned his craftsmen, and lost sleep to worry. His desperate energy permeated the entire shipyard. The workers became tense. Small mistakes began to appear. His frantic doing was broadcasting a frequency of lack of disbelief in his own initial vision. One afternoon, an old sailor, his skin weathered by salty winds, visited the shipyard. He didn't look at the blueprints. He looked at Leif. "A ship isn't made of just wood and rope, young man," he said. "It's made of the captain's faith. Creation is a dance between declaration and surrender. It's like shouting into a canyon. You have to be silent to hear the echo. You have shouted. the old man continued. The blueprint was your shout. Now give the universe the space to echo back. Trust the silence. The old sailor's words awakened Leif. He had done his part. Now it was time to trust. The next day he walked into the shipyard with a completely different energy. He no longer paced anxiously. He simply stood there observing in silence with a confident smile. He trusted the design. He trusted his craftsmen. He trusted the ship that was taking form. He had stepped into the silence of faith. The atmosphere in the yard shifted. The work began to flow rhythmically. The ship was completed, and on its maiden voyage it sailed magnificently upon the waves, surpassing even Leif's wildest dreams. The miracle came not from his desperate effort, but from the peaceful trust he had offered. The silence between intention and manifestation is where the magic happens. It is a sacred gestation period. On the outside, it may seem like nothing is occurring, but this is when the creative forces of the universe are working most powerfully to arrange people, circumstances, and opportunities. Your job is to protect this space with your inner peace. Detachment from the outcome is not apathy. It is faith in its purest form. It means you release your desperate grip on the when and the how. Desperation broadcasts a frequency of lack, pushing away what you desire. Stillness and trust broadcast a frequency of fulfillment, magnetizing and drawing it to you naturally. Think of Anya, a woman whose brother had gone missing on a long journey. In the first days, she lived in a storm of fear. She paced, prayed frantically, tried to do anything. Her energy was one of resistance and clinging. Then she learned another way. Instead of begging, she went into stillness and declared a truth from the depths of her heart. My brother is protected and safe. That was her shout into the canyon. And then she began the hardest part, being silent to listen for the echo. She stopped pacing. She sat at her loom and began to weave. With every thread she wove, she infused the feeling of gratitude for her brother's safety, as if he had already returned. She detached from the outcome not because she didn't care, but because she trusted the process absolutely. Weeks later, a stranger arrived in the village. He told of finding an injured young man and nursing him back to health in his own village. It was Anya's brother. The universe had not responded to her desperation. It had responded to her silent, rock-solid faith in its own divine timing. The value of your I am declaration is determined by your ability to hold a state of trust in the silence that follows. You do not need to convince the universe. You only need to align with it and allow it to reflect the truth you have already declared. Practical exercise, the ritual of sowing and trusting. This is a simple yet profound ritual to practice the art of surrender and trust. Sow the seed, the act of declaration. Find a quiet moment, place your hand on your heart, declare clearly, firmly, and just once the new identity or outcome you desire with all your feeling and certainty. For example, I am prosperity and abundance. Seal the deal, the act of trust. Immediately after your declaration, take one deep breath and smile softly. Say silently or aloud, "Thank you, it is done." This act of gratitude instantly shifts your energy from wanting to having received. Let go, the act of detachment. Bring your hands out in front of you, palms facing up, as if you are holding an energy ball containing your intention. Then slowly turn your palms to face the floor and let your hands fall naturally to your sides. This physical action symbolizes you releasing your intention to a higher power. The matter is now being handled. It is no longer in your hands. Tend the garden. The act of peace. In the hours and days that follow, your only job is to protect your inner peace. Every time a thought of doubt or worry arises, the urge to dig up the seed, don't fight it. Recognize it, smile, and tell yourself, the seed is sown. My job now is to tend the garden. Then gently shift your attention to something in the present moment that makes you feel grateful or peaceful. Practice this dance. Speak your part and then step back in graceful trust, and watch how magnificently the universe echoes back to you. Chapter 7. Returning to the observer, imagine you are the sky. A vast blue and silent sky. The thoughts, emotions, and events of your life are the clouds. There are white, fluffy clouds that drift by gently. There are gray clouds that bring thunderstorms and tempests. They come, they stay for a while, and then they go. But no matter how dark the clouds or how fierce the lightning, they can never harm or change the nature of the sky. The sky is always there, peaceful and unaffected. Human suffering stems from one tragic case of mistaken identity. We believe we are the clouds instead of realizing we are the skishimai. The ultimate liberation is not found in chasing away the negative clouds. It is found in realizing an even greater truth. You are not your thoughts. You are the one who observes the thoughts. You are not your anxiety, your sadness, or your self-doubt. You are the silent awareness behind them, with the absolute power to choose not to identify with them. The moment you realize this, you shift from being a slave to your mind to being its master. In a certain kingdom, there was a lord named Valerius. He was a man who had brilliantly used the principles of creation to achieve success. From a non-noble lineage, he had declared, "I am a powerful leader," and had truly become one. His lands were prosperous and his people respected him. However, inside the castle of his success, Valerius was a prisoner. He was a slave to his own thoughts. Specifically, he was obsessed with the thought of losing his power. He believed he was that fear. When the cloud of anxiety rolled in, he completely identified with it. He became irritable, suspicious, and made rash decisions based on fear. He had built a kingdom, but he could not master his own inner realm. One day, rumors spread that a neighboring land suffering from famine might raid his territory. The cloud of fear within Valerius turned into a storm. He immediately ordered more troops, the construction of more walls, and preparations for war. His advisors urged caution, but he wouldn't listen. He wasn't acting as a leader, he was reacting as fear itself. In his desperation, he sought out a hermit living in a forest. The hermit offered no advice. He simply invited Valerius to sit beside a stream and observe in silence. After a long while, the hermit asked, "My lord, are you the stream?" "No," Valerius replied. "Are you the leaves floating upon the water?" "No." The hermit nodded. "Your thoughts and feelings are like those leaves. They come and go on the stream of your mind. They are not you. You are the one sitting on the bank, silently observing it all. Until you realize you are the observer, you will continue to be swept away by the current." A great clarity dawned on Valerius. He was not the fear. He was the awareness observing the fear. He returned to his castle. When the familiar, anxious thoughts appeared, he no longer wrestled with them. He simply observed. A thought of fear is passing through. In that precious space between thought and reaction, he found his true power. He didn't react. He chose. From that space of inner peace, he saw the situation clearly. Instead of sending soldiers, he sent food and water to his neighbors. That single act turned a potential enemy into a loyal ally. Valerius had truly become a great leader, not because he controlled others, but because he had learned to master himself. Your identity is not a life sentence. What we call personality is really just a collection of I am declarations that have been repeated into a habit. Mastery is realizing you can rewrite this script at any time. You don't need to fight the old you. You just need to choose a new you to be from the space of the observer. Most of us live by programs and limitations inherited from our families and society. Our family isn't good at business. Women shouldn't be too powerful. These are old stories. Mastery is the process of recognizing these programs, thanking them for getting you this far, and then consciously choosing a new path, a new identity that is more aligned with who you truly are. Think of Liana, a young woman born into a family that believed they were plagued by bad luck. It was a story passed down through generations. Liana lived that belief. But after learning to observe her mind, she began to see that story for what it was, just a cloud, albeit one that had obscured her family's sky for a very long time. When an opportunity arose and the thought, "it will probably go wrong," appeared, she no longer unconsciously believed it. She observed it and said silently, "I see you, old story. Thank you for trying to protect me, but I am not you." And from that silence she declared a new truth, not as a tool, but as a way of life. I am the creator of my own luck. She was no longer trying to be lucky. She existed as a lucky person, and from that state of being, her choices and actions naturally created a completely different reality. At this level of mastery, I am is no longer a technique you have to remember to practice. It becomes your default posture for living. It is how you exist as a conscious creator, knowing you are painting the masterpiece of your life every day with awareness as the brush and your declarations as the vibrant ink. Practical exercise. The I am not and I am meditation. This is not an exercise to achieve anything, but a practice to return to who you truly are. Settle in stillness. Find a quiet place and sit in a comfortable position. Close your eyes and focus on your breath for a few minutes. Observe the clouds. Allow all thoughts, emotions, and bodily sensations to come and go freely. Don't try to stop or change anything. Simply observe them as you would watch clouds drift across the sky. Practice disidentification. When a strong thought or emotion arises, e.g., I am anxious or I feel lonely, gently name it in your mind and practice separating from it. A feeling of anxiety is present. I am not the anxiety. I am the awareness observing the anxiety. A thought of failure just passed by. I am not the failure. I am the space that allows that thought to exist and then dissolve. Do this gently, without judgment. Feel the freedom and vast space that is created when you no longer identify with these temporary experiences. Declare from essence. After resting in the space of the observer, ask yourself gently, if I am not these clouds, then who am I? Let the answer arise on its own from the deepest silence. Perhaps it will be, I am peace. I am stillness. I am love. I am pure awareness. Abide in I am. Don't try to do anything with this declaration. Simply abide in it. Rest in it. Let it be the foundation of your existence. This is no longer a tool to change reality. This is a remembrance, a return to the unchanging truth of the magnificent being you already are, always have been, and always will be. Chapter 8. The sacred loop I am that I am. Imagine a vortex in a still lake. It begins with a small movement, then generates its own momentum, pulling everything around it into its spin. The vortex does not exist separately from the water. It is the water moving in a specific pattern. It is both the cause and the effect of itself. Your life operates in the same way. It is not a straight line, but a series of loops. The repeating patterns in your finances, your relationships, your health, they are not random. They are the reflection of an identity vortex operating within you. And at the center of that vortex, there is an ultimate creative equation, a sacred formula pre-installed within you. I am that I am. This is not just a title. It is the operating formula of the universe. It means your state of being, I am, automatically creates and becomes your experienced reality. That you are the cause and the effect in a sacred, self-contained loop. You have the power to upgrade your loop, to shift from a downward spiral of limitation to an upward spiral of infinite creation. Let us return to Elias the potter we have come to know. Many years have passed since the day he changed his identity. He is not just a successful potter, he has become a symbol of creation and prosperity throughout the region. His old loop was I am poor, feeling lack. acting clumsily and fearfully, resulting in failure and debt, reinforcing the belief, I am poor. It was a downward spiral. Now he operates in an upgraded loop. His core identity is no longer, I am a good potter, but has evolved into a simpler, more powerful state of being, I am creation and prosperity. One winter, a great flood devastated the valley. The waters swept away homes, crops, and destroyed nearly all the kilns belonging to Elias and the other potters. It was a catastrophic situation. For the old Elias, this would have been the final proof that he was a victim of misfortune, and it would have reactivated the poverty loop. But this was a new Elias. He was an upward spiral. Standing before the devastation, the first question in his mind was not, what have I lost? But how will creation and prosperity express themselves through this situation? Because he was creation, he didn't see an end. He saw a new beginning. He immediately sketched out a design for a new, more efficient kiln that could be built quickly from the remaining materials. Because he was prosperity, he didn't hoard that knowledge for himself. He gathered all the other potters and taught them how to do it. He shared resources, connecting them with merchants from afar. His actions, born from an identity of prosperity, created a wave of prosperity for the entire community. Together, they created new products, and the reputation of the resilient pottery village attracted attention and orders from all over. The flood, a disaster, became the catalyst for an even greater level of prosperity and unity. Elias's external reality, that was the perfect reflection of his internal state of being, I am. The sacred loop was complete. I am is the sacred technology pre-installed within you. It is not an abstract philosophical concept, but a practical creative tool. In a universe of infinite possibilities, your identity is the selector. The quantum field contains every possible version of reality, a version where you are healthy, a version where you are sick, a version where you are wealthy, a version where you are in want. Your I am declaration acts as a compass, a tuning fork that locks onto and pulls toward you the version of reality that vibrates at the same frequency as the person you declare yourself to be. Think of Kalen, the gentle but perpetually lonely librarian. His inherited loop was, I am unapproachable. This belief caused him to act reservedly, avoiding eye contact. Those actions made others feel he was distant, and their distance reinforced his original belief that he was unapproachable. Recognizing this loop, Kalen decided to upgrade it. He didn't try to become an extrovert. He simply chose a new identity and embodied it. He began his day with the declaration, I am warmth and a sincere friend. He activated this technology with small actions. When someone entered the library, he actively looked up and smiled, the embodiment of warmth. When someone asked for directions, he didn't just point. He explained kindly, the embodiment of a sincere friend. His frequency changed. The universal mirror began to reflect the new image. People started to sense his warmth. They lingered longer, initiated small conversations. Friendships blossomed naturally. Kalen did not seek friendship. He became the frequency of friendship, and his reality loop automatically upgraded from isolation to connection. Mastery is a living practice of presence. It is not a destination, but a journey. It is not a one-time act, but a daily commitment to live as a conscious co-creator with the universe. Practical exercise, the co-creator's daily covenant. This is a synthesizing practice to integrate everything you have learned into a lifestyle, a daily covenant with yourself and the universe. Morning, the compass declaration, sowing the seed. Immediately upon waking, before the outside world rushes into your mind, take a moment to set your energetic compass for the day. Choose one core state of being you wish to embody. Declare it clearly and feel it. For example, today I am serenity. This is you choosing your frequency for the day. Midday, the alignment check-in, watering the seed. Around midday, perhaps at lunchtime, pause for 1 minute. Close your eyes and ask yourself gently, are my thoughts, words, and actions since this morning nourishing the identity of serenity that I chose? This is not for self-judgment but a loving course correction, like a sailor adjusting the sails to catch the wind perfectly. Evening reflection and gratitude. The harvest before sleep, take a few minutes to reflect. In what moments today did I embody serenity? E.g., when I took a deep breath instead of reacting with anger, how did the universe reflect serenity back to me? E.g., a quiet conversation, an unexpected moment of stillness. End with gratitude. Thank you for the experiences of serenity today. This act reinforces the positive loop and tells the universe you are ready to receive more of the same. The goal is not perfection, but presence. There will be days you forget. There will be days the old loop feels stronger. That's okay. The power lies in the willingness to begin again the next morning. Be gentle with yourself, for you are a sacred being, learning to use a sacred technology. Live by this covenant, and you will witness your life transform from a series of random events into a masterpiece of your own creation epilogue. The starting point. Our journey together has brought us to a threshold, like a traveler who roams the world in search of a precious gem, only to return home and find it shining brilliantly in their own garden. This entire exploration of laws, stories, and practices has led to one final truth, a destination that is also and always the starting point. That truth is this: you are I am. There is no longer a separation between you and the creative power of the universe. There is no longer a you over here and a universe out there. The curtain of separation has dissolved. The outward search is over because the power you have been seeking, the wisdom you have been craving, the love you have been longing for, is all your very essence. You do not possess it. You are it. This is the ultimate union. And in this union, another liberating truth is revealed. You do not need permission to create. This entire journey leads to a single point, the total sovereignty of a creator. You do not need to wait for a sign from the stars. You do not need to ask anyone for permission. You do not need one more piece of validation from the outside world to declare who you are and what you choose to experience. The crown has always been on your head, and the scepter has always been in your hand. Realizing this is the moment you rightfully reclaim your kingdom. From here you will understand that creation is a direct act, not a request. You no longer send prayers into the void and hope they are answered. You understand that the universe does not respond to you as a separate entity. Your conscious declaration, your chosen state of being, is the universe reconfiguring itself in real time. You are not sending a request. You are performing the very act of creation. Like a painter, your brushstroke does not ask for color to appear. Your brushstroke is the color being expressed upon the canvas. And so, my dear friend, this is not the finish line. Understanding these things is not the end of a journey. It is the true beginning of a conscious life. This book is about to close, but your authentic life has only just begun. The path forward is no longer about learning more, but about living and becoming from the truth you have realized. It is no longer about accumulating knowledge, but about courageously embodying that truth every single day. Step forth from this place not as a seeker, but as one who is found. Not as a student, but as a master in the process of remembering. Not as someone trying to change the world, but as one who is changing themselves, and in doing so, causing the entire world to transform in response. Every morning is a blank canvas. Every I am declaration is a brushstroke. And you, the artist, the observer, the creator, what masterpiece will you paint today? The world is waiting to reflect the beauty of the person you choose to be.